The steady sound of rain tapped rhythmically on the old tin roof of the small apartment where Elliot Kane sat hunched before a computer screen emitting a pale blue glow. His green eyes, hidden behind round glasses smudged with fingerprints, darted intently across the text on an online auction page. His messy brown hair fell over his forehead, and the old fabric jacket he wore had frayed shoulders from too many washes. At 35, Elliot wasn't the kind of person you'd expect to change the world, slight and gangly, a bit awkward, with a strange hobby of collecting antiques no one else saw value in. But tonight, in the cluttered room overflowing with electronics, scribbled blueprints, and cold coffee mugs, he felt a rare surge of adrenaline ripple down his spine. Unidentified device, origin unknown, estimated age, over 500 years, the description on the screen read. Below it was an image of a small cylindrical object, its surface etched with strange patterns that shimmered like jade under the photographer's light. Starting bid, $50. Elliot smirked. To him, this wasn't just an item, it was a mystery, a puzzle begging to be solved. He typed quickly, bidding $75, then leaned back in his chair, hands clasped behind his head. No one's gonna outbid me, he muttered, voice hoarse from lack of sleep. Who'd care about some old hunk of metal like this? But he was wrong. Seconds later, an anonymous bidder jumped in, raising it to $100. Elliot frowned, sitting up straight. All right, game on. He typed $150, heart beating faster. The opponent countered, $200. The silent war stretched on for minutes, the price climbing to $500, far beyond what Elliot had planned to spend. But something about this device wouldn't let him stop. It wasn't like anything he'd seen, not modern machinery, not ancient decor. It was a challenge. Fine, he whispered, hands trembling over the keyboard. $7.50. There goes this month's savings. He hit enter and waited. 10 seconds passed. 20. No response. The system flashed, congratulations. You've won the auction. Elliot exhaled, but before a smile could form, a strange beep echoed from the corner of the room. He turned, brow furrowing. It wasn't from the computer, it came from his chaotic workbench, piled with unsorted old parts. He stood, stepping over tangled wires and pizza boxes, tracing the sound. It grew louder, sharper, like an electronic device powering up. Beneath a stack of scribbled papers, he found it, the auction device. But how? He hadn't received it yet, the mail couldn't be that fast. Elliot blinked, trying to rationalize. Probably a coincidence, he told himself, picking it up. It was heavier than he'd expected, cool in his hands, and the surface patterns began to glow faintly, a soft jade hue. He tilted his head, nudging his glasses up his nose, studying it closer. What kind of tech is this? No buttons, no ports. He turned it over, then accidentally brushed a deep groove in the center. A sharp screech rang out, followed by a blinding flash that made Elliot drop the device in shock. It hit the floor, rolled once, and before he could react, the air in the room shuddered as if torn apart. A portal, no other word for it, opened in the middle of the apartment, swirling like a vortex of green light. Elliot stumbled back, his back slamming into the wall, heart pounding. What the hell is this? He shouted, but his voice drowned in the roaring hum from the portal. Then she appeared. A figure stepped out of the light, tall, powerful. As the portal closed behind her, Elliot saw clearly, a woman, unlike anyone he'd ever met. Her skin shimmered jade-like, as if carved from gemstone. Her eyes blazing red like burning rubies. Short black hair framed an angular face, and she wore sleek silver-gray armor that glowed faintly as she moved. Her long legs strode toward him, steady as a warrior's, yet her gaze held a strange curiosity. "Elliot Kane," she said, her voice deep and resonant, like an echo from a cavern. You have activated the eternal oath. I am Zyra, warrior of Vianara, summoned to protect you. Elliot's jaw dropped, his hand gripping the table to keep from falling. What? What did you just say? He blinked rapidly, trying to stay calm. But his mind spun. Wait, I didn't sign up for anything. I just bid on an antique. Zyra tilted her head, her red eyes scanning him as if analyzing. This is no antique. It's the oath, an ancient pact between summoner and guardian. When you touched it, your will accepted it. She stepped closer, her armor clicking faintly with each move. I sense curiosity in you. That's why I'm here. No, no, no. Elliot raised his hands, voice pitching high. I don't need protection. I just wanted to figure out how it works. This is a mistake, can you go back where you came from? He waved frantically toward where the portal had vanished, as if hoping it'd reopen. Zyra's lips twitched, a dry smile flickering. It's not that simple, Elliot Kane. The oath is activated. I'm bound to you until one of us dies, or the mission is complete. She paused, her gaze sharpening. But perhaps you should worry more about who's coming. Who? Elliot frowned, but before Zyra could answer, the apartment window shattered in a deafening blast. Glass flew everywhere. And three dark figures burst in from the rainy night, mercenaries in high-tech armor, weapons at the ready. Elliot yelped, diving to the floor, heart hammering. What the hell is going on? Zyra didn't waste words. Her armor flared, a surge of jade energy crackling around her fists. She moved like lightning, slamming a punch into the first man's chest. Metal clanged. And he flew back out the window, vanishing into the dark. The others opened fire, but Zyra raised a hand, conjuring an energy shield that stopped the bullets cold. Next corp, she growled, voice icy. They detected the oath's signal. You've landed yourself in deep trouble, summoner. Elliot crawled behind the table, hands shaking as he clutched his head. Next corp. The tech conglomerate. I didn't do anything to piss them off. He peeked up, watching Zyra kick the second man down and twist the third's arm with a snap. She stood there, breathing evenly. Her red eyes fixed on him as her armor's glow dimmed. They don't care what you did, Zyra said, striding over to pull him up. They want what's in me, the Regenesis core. And now, because of the oath. They'll hunt you too. She gripped his arm, firm but not rough. We need to move. Now. Elliot stumbled, mind reeling. Go where? This is all I've got. But Zyra didn't answer. Just dragged him toward the door. Before they left, he grabbed his old backpack from the chair, stuffed with his invention notebook and random junk. The rain drowned out their footsteps. But he caught the distant roar of engines, more enemies approaching. They bolted into the alley behind the building, rain pelting Elliot's face, nearly blinding him. Zyra led the way, unflinching. As if escape was second nature. My old warehouse, he shouted over the wind. Edge of the city, no one knows it's there. Zyra nodded, her armor flashing to light their path through the dark. When they reached the warehouse, a rusted shell packed with old machines and dusty blueprints, Elliot collapsed, gasping. Zyra locked the door, checked the exits, then turned to him. You all right? She asked, her tone softening slightly. No, Elliot replied, wiping rain from his glasses. Not even a little. Who are you? What's the Regenesis core? And why am I in this mess? Zyra sat on a wooden crate, her armor dimming to a faint glow. I'm Zyra, last of Vianara, a planet dead centuries ago. The Regenesis core is my people's hope, tech that can rebuild life. Revive a world. But it's also a weapon in the wrong hands, like Nexcorp's. She met his gaze, her red eyes softening. The oath chose you for your will, curiosity, persistence, defiance. I'm here to protect you, and you're my power source. Elliot gave a dry laugh, rubbing his forehead. Great. I just bought an alien battery. Now what? Zyra stood, placing a hand on his shoulder. A strange warmth spread from her touch, startling him. Now we survive, she said. Together. Before Elliot could respond, a crack echoed from the warehouse's corner. They turned. And from the shadows, another figure emerged, purple hair tied high, a cloak shimmering with light. Not so fast, a cold female voice rang out. I'm Kalia. And I want what's in you, Zyra. Elliot sighed. Fantastic. More trouble. Elliot stood frozen, his eyes darting to Kalia, the mysterious woman who'd just stepped from the shadows of the warehouse. Her purple hair was tied high. A few damp strands clinging to her face from the rain, and the high-tech cloak she wore emitted a faint glow from its winding patterns. Her deep black eyes locked onto Zyra, unwavering. I'm not here to chat, Kalia said, her voice cold but sharp as a blade. The regenesis core inside you, Zyra, I need it. Hand it over, or I'll take it myself. Zyra clenched her fists. Her silver-gray armor flaring briefly, jade energy swirling around her like a miniature storm. Who are you to demand what isn't yours, she growled, stepping forward to shield Elliot. The core isn't a toy for you to play with. Elliot backed up, clutching his backpack tighter, his mind racing. Wait, he cut in, voice high with panic. Can everyone just calm down? I just got attacked at home, and now some stranger wants something I don't even understand. Can someone explain this properly? He glanced at Zyra, then turned to Kalia. Who are you? How do you know about her? He pointed at Zyra, as if she were some bizarre invention he hadn't yet dissected. Kalia's lips curled, her dark gaze flicking over him with faint disdain. You don't need to know who I am, summoner. Just know that what's in her could change everything, past, present, future. I crossed time to get here, and I'm not leaving empty-handed. She raised a hand, a small orb-like device hovering above her palm, humming with electromagnetic static. Time travel? Elliot muttered, nudging his glasses up, curiosity overtaking fear. Is that tech or some kind of magic? How does it work? He leaned forward, trying to get a better look at the device, but Zyra yanked him back, her grip tight enough to hurt. Not the time for questions, Elliot, Zyra said, voice tense. She's dangerous. If she wants the core, she's no ally. She faced Kalia, her red eyes blazing like fire. You want to change the past? For what planet? And why me? Kalia stepped closer, light from her cloak reflecting off the dusty warehouse walls. My planet, Irinder. It was destroyed 3 centuries ago by a cosmic alliance. The regenesis core could restore its lost energy, take me back before the disaster. She paused, her tone dropping. I'm not like Nexcorp. I don't want it as a weapon. I want to save my people. Elliot blinked, a flicker of unexpected sympathy stirring in him. But before he could speak, Zyra let out a dry laugh, laced with scorn. Save your people by stealing the last hope of mine. The Inara lost everything. The core is our only chance to rebuild. You've no right to demand it. Kalia's brow furrowed, her hand tightening on the orb. I'm not asking. I'm commanding. The device flared bright, and an invisible wave of energy shot out, slamming into Zyra. She raised her hands, a jade shield snapping up, but the force pushed her back, her armor cracking faintly. Zyra! Elliot shouted, lunging to help, but she shoved him aside, her gaze resolute. Stay back, Elliot. I can handle this. She gritted her teeth, the oath's energy surging stronger, countering Kalia's blast. The two forces clashed in the warehouse, rattling old metal shelves and scattering papers across the floor. Elliot ducked, clutching his head, heart pounding. "I didn't sign up to die in a superpower showdown," he mumbled, but his eyes stayed glued to the fight. Zyra was strong, no doubt, but Kalia had lethal precision, each strike aimed at a weakness. As if she'd studied Zyra beforehand. Just then, the roar of engines rumbled outside, drowning out the rain. Headlights pierced through wall cracks, sweeping the dim space. Zyra and Kalia froze mid-fight, turning to look. "Nexcorp," Zyra snarled, still holding her shield. "Faster than I thought." Kalia frowned, her orb dimming abruptly. "We share an enemy. Maybe we should pause this." She met Zyra's gaze, her eyes cold but pragmatic. "Unless you'd rather die here with your summoner." Elliot scrambled up, voice shaky. "I vote truce. But we've got to run first." He pointed to the warehouse's back door, where he'd rigged an emergency exit from his days tinkering with risky inventions. Zyra shot him a glance, then nodded reluctantly. "Lead the way." They bolted out the back just as the main wall exploded inward. Nexcorp mercenaries stormed in, guns raised, but it wasn't them that chilled Elliot's spine. A figure stepped through the rubble, tall, in a sleek black suit, short blonde hair neatly trimmed. Draven Voss. Elliot recognized him instantly, though it had been over a decade since they'd last met at university. The small scar on Draven's left cheek stood out under the light, and his gray eyes scanned the warehouse like a predator. "Elliot Kane," Draven called, his voice smooth and low, dripping with danger. "You always had a knack for digging up things you shouldn't. Give her to me, and I'll let you walk, like old times. Just two buddies." Elliot swallowed hard, gripping his backpack strap. "Draven? You're with Nexcorp? Since when?" He'd once called Draven his best friend, the only one who got his wild ideas back in engineering school. Now, Draven stood there, an enemy without hesitation. "Times change," Draven replied, stepping closer. "I chose winning, not scraping by like you. The Regenesis core is the future, Elliot. Don't be dumb enough to stand in my way." Zyra yanked Elliot onward, Kalia trailing silently behind. They raced through the back door, down a metal staircase into the city's old sewer system. Heavy boots echoed behind them, mingled with Draven's barked orders. "Take them alive. Don't let the core slip away." The sewers were pitch black, the damp stench stinging their noses, but Zyra led without faltering, her armor glowing just enough to light the path. Elliot stumbled repeatedly, breath ragged. "He was my friend," he said, voice breaking. "Now he wants me dead over whatever's in you." "Not dead," Zyra corrected, not looking back. "They want to harvest me. The core's a key to creation, or destruction. Nexcorp doesn't care about rebirth. They want a weapon." Kalia cut in, voice frigid. "And I need it to fix the past. Our goals differ, but our enemy's the same. Don't expect long-term help from me." She surged ahead, her cloak brushing past Elliot like a ghost. They navigated the sewer maze, pursuit closing in. Suddenly, a boom rang out ahead. Nexcorp had sealed the main exit with a steel gate. Zyra halted, panting, turning to Elliot. "Any ideas? This is your turf." Elliot's eyes darted around, mind spinning but sharpening. He spotted an old rusted pipe on the wall, still linked to an abandoned pumping system. "All right," he said, pulling his notebook from his backpack, flipping pages fast. "I messed with these once. If we reverse the pressure, the water'll blast the gate. But we need power." Zyra nodded, pressing her hand to the pipe. "Use the oath. Focus on me." Elliot touched her. The familiar warmth spreading. He closed his eyes, picturing the water like a circuit, powerful, unstoppable. Zyra's energy flared, jade light surging into the pipe. A deafening roar followed. Water erupting like a cannon, smashing the gate apart. They charged through, the flood sweeping NextCorp's men back. Outside, the night sky opened up, rain gone, leaving a biting chill. Elliot gasped, glancing at Zyra and Kalia. Now what? Kalia looked skyward, her orb glowing faintly. They won't stop. But I've got a hideout, for now. She turned away, not waiting for agreement. Zyra gripped Elliot's hand, her red eyes softening. She's not trustworthy. But we're out of options. Elliot nodded, feeling the oath stronger than ever between them. Then let's go. I don't want to die in a sewer. Far off, NextCorp helicopters growled, signaling the next storm approaching. The night's chill cut through Elliot's thin jacket as he trudged after Zyra and Kalia through a dark alley, the distant rumble of NextCorp helicopters still echoing faintly. His old sneakers. Soaked from the sewer escape, squelched with each step, but he didn't dare stop. Zyra marched ahead, her silver-gray armor glinting dimly in the shadows. Her red eyes scanning every corner like a warrior poised for battle. Kalia led the way, her high-tech cloak casting a faint purple glow. Guiding them through twisting streets Elliot never knew existed in this city. Where are we going? Elliot whispered, his breath forming white puffs in the air. He hugged his backpack tighter. The invention notebook inside now the only thing keeping him grounded amid the chaos. Kalia didn't turn, her voice cold as it cut through the night. Somewhere NextCorp won't find, for a while. Don't ask too much, Summoner. Just stay alive. Zyra shot Kalia a sidelong glance, her red eyes flashing suspicion. I don't trust you, she said, her tone low but edged. You want the Regenesis core. How do I know this isn't a trap? Kalia paused before a rusted steel door hidden behind trash bins, turning to face Zyra. If I wanted to trap you, I'd have done it back at the warehouse. NextCorp's a bigger threat than my plans. Now shut up, unless you want them to hear. She pressed a small button on her orb device, and the door hissed open, revealing a staircase descending into darkness. Elliot swallowed hard, looking to Zyra. Does she have a point? He asked, voice trembling. Zyra took his hand. Her touch sending the familiar warmth of the oath through him. Point or not, we've no way back. But I won't take my eyes off her. She pulled him along, following Kalia down the stairs. The staircase led to an underground bunker, not some dank sewer, but a renovated space with concrete walls, dim LED lights, and scattered tech gear. A desk covered in blueprints and holographic screens dominated one corner, next to a tattered armchair. Kalia locked the door behind them, then sat at the desk, activating a monitor. This is an old stopover of mine, she said. Safe for 24 hours, if we're lucky. Elliot collapsed into the armchair, peeling off his glasses to wipe sweat from his brow. All right, I need answers. Zyra, you said the Regenesis core is your people's hope. What is it, exactly? And why are NextCorp, and her, chasing it like this? He jabbed a finger toward Kalia, who tapped away at the screen. Zyra perched on a metal crate nearby, her armor's glow fading, revealing the shimmering jade of her skin under the faint light. She sat silent for a moment, her red eyes staring into the distance. As if sifting through painful memories. Vianara was once a thriving world, she began, her voice low and somber. Our technology outstripped Earth's, renewable energy, space travel. Even biosphere regeneration. But we grew arrogant. A failed experiment shattered our planet's core, reducing it to ash in days. I was among the last survivors. Sent away with the Regenesis core, a power source holding Vianara's genetic code and knowledge. It could rebuild an entire world, given the right place. Elliot tilted his head. Curiosity eclipsing his fear. So it's like a cosmic seed? But how's it inside you? Zyra touched her chest, just below her armor. It's fused with my body, tied to my life force. Only an oath-bearer, like you, can fully activate it. That's why I need you, Elliot. Your will, your emotions, fuel it through me. Elliot blinked, hands trembling as he adjusted his glasses. So I'm like, your living battery. Great, I've upgraded from failed inventor to alien power pack. He gave a dry laugh, but his gaze softened as he looked at Zyra. If it's that important, why haven't you used it before now? Zyra bowed her head, her voice quieter. I wasn't strong enough. When Vianara fell, I was badly wounded, drifting through space for centuries in stasis. The oath kept me alive, waiting for a summoner. Even with you, I need time to recover, and a new planet to plant the seed. Kalia cut in, her voice icy. Time you don't have. NextCorp wants the core for weapons, its rebirth energy can be twisted into destruction. As for me, she paused, a flicker of pain crossing her dark eyes. I needed to go back. Irinder, my home, was destroyed by others' greed. With the core, I could stop the catastrophe, save billions. Zyra shot to her feet, armor flaring. You don't get it, do you? Changing the past would fracture reality. The core isn't your time travel toy. It's Vianara's future. Kalia met her stare, gripping her orb. Your future isn't my burden. I lost everything, family, friends, Irinder's skies. You've no right to judge. Elliot threw up his hands, stepping between them. Stop it. I don't care who's right or wrong, arguing now just makes it easier for NextCorp to catch us. He turned to Zyra. You said I'm your power source, right? Can we use the oath to do something, escape, fight back, anything? Zyra studied him, her red eyes softening. You're sharper than I thought. The oath links us, your will can amplify my strength. But I need you focused, not panicking. Elliot nodded, though his heart still raced. Okay. I'll try. He touched her hand. The oath's warmth spreading, but before they could test it, a thud shook the staircase. The steel door rattled, dust and smoke billowing in. Kalia leapt up, her orb blazing. They found us. Quicker than I expected. She spun to Zyra. Put our feud aside. We need each other to survive. Zyra gritted her teeth but nodded. Fine. But don't think I trust you. She pulled Elliot behind her. Armor glowing bright, ready to fight. The door burst open, NextCorp soldiers pouring in, energy rifles raised. But their leader wasn't Draven, a towering figure in black armor. Face hidden behind a mask, voice distorted through a filter. Hand over the Regenesis core, or die here, he barked, raising a massive gun, its barrel glowing red-hot. Elliot shrank back, clutching Zyra's arm. I'm not good at fighting, he yelled, but she was already moving, her shield blocking the first barrage. Kalia tossed her orb, which exploded into thick smoke, blinding the enemy. Run, she shouted, darting toward a small window in the bunker's corner. Zyra dragged Elliot along, but a stray shot grazed the wall near him, tripping him up. Elliot! Zyra cried, doubling back to haul him up. In that moment, he felt the oath, not just power, but a deeper bond. He grabbed her hand, whispering, use me. Hit them back. Zyra nodded, her red eyes blazing. Jade energy erupted around her, stronger than ever, fueled by Elliot's will. She thrust out a hand, a shockwave blasting the soldiers through the door. Shouts and clanging metal filled the air, but they didn't stop to look. Kalia smashed the window, and the three tumbled out, landing in a stinking industrial dump. They rolled down the heap of scrap. Elliot coughing, but Zaira pulled him to his feet. "You did well," she said, a hint of surprise in her voice. "The oath's stronger with you than I thought." Elliot grinned weakly, wiping his glasses. "So I'm not totally useless." Kalia cut in, pointing skyward. "Don't celebrate yet. Look." A NextCorp airship hovered above, spotlights sweeping down, a voice booming through a speaker. "Elliot Kane. Zaira, surrender or be eliminated." Zaira tightened her grip on Elliot's hand. "Ready?" Elliot swallowed hard but nodded. "As ready as I'll ever be." Kalia smirked, her orb glowing. "Good. Because we're in for a hell of a fight." The NextCorp airship spotlights sliced through the industrial dump, turning the scrap heaps into a maze of shadows and blinding glare. Elliot crouched behind a rusted barrel, heart pounding, his ragged breaths fogging in the cold air. Zaira knelt beside him, her silver-gray armor flickering faintly. Her red eyes glowing like beacons in the dark. Kalia stood a few meters off, her purple cloak billowing as she checked her orb device, its light pulsing as if calculating something. The airship speaker crackled again, its tone cold and commanding. "Elliot Kane, Zaira, this is your last chance. Surrender the Regenesis core, or we'll level this site." The engines growled louder. And Elliot caught the metallic clank of troops descending. "They're not kidding," Elliot whispered, nudging his glasses up, hands trembling as he clutched his backpack. "How do we get out of this?" Zaira rested a hand on his shoulder, the oath's warmth steadying his nerves. "We don't run," she said, her voice low but firm. "We fight. You boosted my power back in the bunker. Do it again." Elliot blinked at her. "I don't even know how I did it. It just happened." But before Zaira could reply, Kalia's sharp voice cut in. "No time for practice. Look." She pointed upward as NextCorp soldiers rappelled down ropes, their black armor gleaming, energy rifles at the ready. But the last figure to emerge froze Elliot in his tracks, Draven Voss. His sleek black suit stark against the troops, gray eyes sweeping the dump like a hunter. "Elliot." Draven called, his voice smooth yet laced with menace. "You can't hide forever. I know you're down there. Hand her over, and I'll let you go, like old times, just us two pals." Elliot clenched his jaw, memories flooding back, late nights in the university lab. Draven laughing as Elliot blew a circuit, the two of them dreaming of changing the world with inventions. Now Draven hunted him for something he hadn't chosen. "You betrayed me," Elliot shouted. Voice cracking. "You picked NextCorp over friendship. Don't pretend you still care." Draven smirked, stepping over twisted metal, a small red glowing device in his hand. "Friendship doesn't pay the bills, Elliot. NextCorp gave me power, opportunity. You should thank me. If not for me, they'd have killed you the moment they caught the oath's signal. But now I need the core. Don't make me take it." Zaira rose, her armor flaring, jade energy coiling around her. "You won't touch it," she snarled, charging. She swung a fist, but Draven dodged. His device firing a red energy net that ensnared her. She hit the ground, armor sparking, her jade glow dimming. "Zaira!" Elliot yelled, leaping from cover, but Kalia grabbed his wrist, yanking him back. "Don't be stupid," she snapped. "She can handle herself. We need a plan." Elliot wrenched free, eyes locked on Zaira struggling in the net. "A plan? She's all I've got right now." He didn't realize what he'd said until Kalia raised an eyebrow, her dark gaze flickering with surprise. "Interesting," she muttered. Then nodded toward a pile of old machinery nearby, an abandoned invention of Elliot's from his days tinkering with mini-jet engines. "You built that?" Elliot nodded, mind racing but focusing. Yeah. It's a high-pressure thruster, not finished, but if we start it, it could blow something up or push us out of here. Kalia's lips twitched, a faint smile breaking through. Good. I'll distract them. Get it running. She darted out, her orb firing purple beams at the NextCorp troops, drawing their fire. Explosions and shouts erupted, giving Elliot an opening. He dropped beside the machine. Hands shaking as he pried open its casing, pulling his notebook from his backpack. Okay, he mumbled, flipping to old notes. Fuel's still there, circuits intact, needs a spark to ignite. He looked up, seeing Zyra tear free of the net, but Draven had his men encircling her. Zyra! I need you, he shouted. Zyra turned, her red eyes meeting his through the haze. She nodded. Sprinting toward him, dodging a hail of bullets. What do you need? She asked, breathless, her cracked armor still glowing. Elliot pointed at the machine. Your energy, from the oath. Feed it in here. Like in the bunker. He grabbed her hand, the warmth surging stronger than ever. He shut his eyes, picturing the energy as a perfect circuit, precise, powerful. Zyra gritted her teeth. Channeling jade light into the engine. It whirred, then shuddered, spewing black smoke. Run! Elliot yelled, pulling Zyra with him. Kalia followed, and as they vaulted over a stack of crates. The engine exploded, not a massive blast, but enough to send a pressure wave that knocked NextCorp soldiers sprawling and sent Draven tumbling. Thick smoke blanketed the dump, masking their escape into the shadows. They stopped behind a crumbled wall a few hundred meters away, Elliot gasping, hands on his knees. I can't believe that worked, he said. Managing a weak grin. It actually blew up. Zyra clapped his shoulder, her red eyes softening. You're more than a battery, Elliot. You're a fighter in your own way. A trace of pride in her voice made him flush. Kalia stood nearby, wiping blood from her hand, a scratch from her diversion. Don't get cocky, she said. NextCorp has the airship. They'll track us again. But I know a way aboard, to hit the source. Elliot spun to her, frowning. You mean infiltrate the airship? You're insane. Kalia smirked, her orb glowing. Insanity's the only way to survive. I can open a short-time portal, get us up there. But it'll take both of you working with me. Zyra gripped Elliot's hand tighter, her red eyes steady. What do you think? Elliot gulped, glancing from Zyra to Kalia, then up at the looming airship. I'm no good at fighting, but I'm great at breaking stuff. If we get up there, I could wreck their systems. Kalia nodded. Fine. I'll open the portal. Zyra, keep him alive. Zyra gave a dry chuckle, a spark of mischief in her eyes for the first time. He's my summoner. No one's touching him. Kalia raised her orb, purple light flaring, forming a small swirling vortex before them. Ready, she said, stepping through. Zyra pulled Elliot along, and in an instant, the dump vanished, replaced by the cold metal floor of the NextCorp airship. They landed in a dim compartment, machinery humming around them. Elliot's eyes darted. Recognizing the main engine room, screens and conduits pulsing with light. But before he could react, heavy boots clomped nearby. Draven strode in, red device in hand, a cold smile curling his lips. Welcome aboard, he said. You just walked into the slaughterhouse, Elliot. Zyra lunged, but Draven triggered his device, a red wave slamming her into the wall. Elliot shouted, rushing to her. But Kalia yanked him back. He's mine, she growled, charging Draven, purple beams clashing with his red waves. Elliot knelt by Zyra, hands shaking as he touched her armor. You okay? He asked. Voice breaking. Zyra grasped his hand, her red eyes dim but fierce. Still alive. But we've got to bring this ship down. Can you do it? Elliot nodded, scanning the engine room. Yeah. I'll tear it apart. Draven laughed, dodging Kalia's strike. You've got no shot, Elliot. I've always been better than you. Elliot smirked, pulling out his notebook. We'll see about that, Draven. The NextCorp airship's engine room thrummed with the roar of machinery, light from green and red energy conduits casting harsh shadows on the cold metal walls. Elliot knelt beside Zyra, his trembling hands brushing her cracked silver-gray armor. Her red eyes flickered with pain, but they burned with resolve as she squeezed his hand. Bring this ship down, Elliot, she whispered. Her voice faint but unwavering. You can do it. Elliot swallowed hard, nodding, though his heart hammered like it might burst. He turned, eyes sweeping the room, screens blinked erratically. Conduits hissed as if overloaded, and a massive central core glowed like a miniature sun. This was the ship's heart, wreck it, and everything would collapse. But before he could act, Draven's cold laughter cut through the noise, drowning out the machines. You're still the same dreamy fool, Elliot, Draven said. Stepping past Kalia, whom he'd just flung into a tangle of cables with the red device in his hand. His black suit was rumpled, but his gray eyes gleamed with arrogance. You think you can wreck this ship? I designed it. Every inch is under my control. He raised the device, pressing a button, and a red energy wave shot toward Elliot. Zyra surged up, her armor glowing faintly, blocking the blast with a jade shield. But her strength was fading, the shield shattered, and she crumpled, gasping. Elliot, run, she rasped, but he didn't budge. Gripping her arm tightly. No, he said, his voice shaky but firm. I'm not leaving you. He dragged her behind the core, using it as a makeshift barrier. His mind raced. But his curiosity and engineer's instincts kicked in. He yanked his notebook from his backpack, flipping to a page on energy overload, a crazy college idea he'd never tested. Draven advanced. NextCorp troops flooding in from side doors, energy rifles raised. You can't win, Elliot, he said, his tone smooth yet menacing. The Regenesis core is mine. I'll use it to build an empire, something you could never dream of. Kalia staggered up from the cables, blood trickling from her mouth. She glanced at Draven, then at Zyra and Elliot. Her dark eyes wavering. You don't deserve the core, she snarled, raising her orb. A purple beam lanced out, but Draven sidestepped, smirking. Time travel won't save you, Kalia, he taunted. You and Elliot are both losers, clinging to the past instead of seizing the future. He turned to his men. Take her alive. I need the core intact. Elliot, hidden behind the core, whispered to Zyra. I've got a plan. If we overload this core, the ship crashes. But I need your energy, through the oath. He squeezed her hand tighter, the warmth pulsing, though weaker now. Zyra met his gaze. A spark of hope in her red eyes. You sure? If it fails, we all die. Elliot grinned faintly, nudging his glasses. Not sure, but I'm good at breaking stuff. Trust me. Zyra gave a weak smile. The first hint of softness he'd seen in her. I trust you, Summoner. She pressed her hand to his chest, faint jade energy flowing out, merging with his will through the oath. But before they could act, Draven loomed behind the core, his red device blazing. Playtime's over, he said, firing a blast at Zyra. She cried out, her armor splintering. And a white light flared from her chest, the Regenesis core materialized, hovering midair like a radiant gem. Elliot lunged, catching Zyra, but Draven reached out, pulling the core toward him with his device. Finally mine, he laughed, eyes alight with greed. The troops closed in, rifles trained on Elliot and Zyra. Kalia shouted from behind, "No!" She charged Draven, her orb unleashing a final purple beam that threw him off balance. The core dropped, rolling toward Elliot. He snatched it up, its heat searing his hand, but he held on. Draven spun, growling. "You dare cross me?" He fired a red wave at Kalia, sending her crashing down, blood pooling beneath her. But Kalia, though fading, smirked at Elliot. "Use it, crash the ship. My past doesn't matter anymore." Elliot blinked, stunned by her shift. He turned to Zyra, slumped against the core, her breathing shallow. "You heard her," he said. "I need you, one last time." Zyra nodded, her hand brushing the core in his grasp. "Together," she whispered. The oath flared, jade energy blending with the core's white light, stronger than ever. Elliot closed his eyes. Picturing the core as a giant circuit, he didn't just break it, he fed energy in, pushing it past its limits. A hum rose, then the core shuddered, white-green light exploding outward. Draven shouted. Lunging, but too late, a shockwave hurled him and the troops against the walls. The ship lurched, alarms blaring, the floor cracking beneath them. Elliot clutched Zyra. The core still blazing in his hand. "You okay?" he yelled over the din. Zyra nodded weakly. "Alive, thanks to you." But before they could celebrate, a stray bullet from a NextCorp soldier struck Elliot's shoulder. He screamed, collapsing, the core slipping from his grip and rolling toward Kalia. Kalia, gravely wounded, stretched out and grabbed it. She looked at Elliot and Zyra, her dark eyes softening. "I was wrong," she rasped. "The future matters more." She raised her orb, opening a small time portal beneath the floor. And tossed the core inside. "It'll be safe, where they can't reach." The portal snapped shut, and Kalia slumped, unconscious. The airship shook violently, flames erupting from the core. Draven, clawing from the wreckage, roared, "No! I won't lose." He charged Elliot, but Zyra, despite her weakness, landed a final punch, knocking him out cold. Elliot, clutching his bleeding shoulder, hauled Zyra up. "We've got to get out," he shouted, but the ship was spiraling, metal screeching as it plunged. He scanned the room, spotting a nearby escape pod, small, but big enough for two. Zyra leaned on him, staggering. "Kalia," she murmured, glancing at the still form of the purple-haired woman. Elliot gritted his teeth, pulling Zyra toward the pod. She made her choice. Now we make ours, to live. He shoved her inside, hitting the launch button. The pod ejected, hurtling through the night sky as the airship exploded behind them, a brilliant burst like fireworks. The pod crashed into a forest far from the city, the impact slamming Elliot's head against the wall, but he clung to Zyra. As the smoke cleared, he opened his eyes, seeing her beside him. Her breathing faint but steady. "We did it," he whispered, a weak smile breaking through. Zyra's eyes fluttered open, their red glow dim but warm. "Thanks to you, Elliot." "But the core." "Safe," he said. "Kalia sent it away. We'll find it again, right?" Zyra nodded, her hand brushing his. "Together." Dawn peeked through the trees. But the faint whir of helicopters sounded, NextCorp hadn't given up. Elliot smirked. "Rest first, then we run again." Zyra chuckled dryly. "Running with you isn't so bad." The forest lay silent under the dawn's glow, broken only by the rustle of wind through dark green leaves and the distant murmur of a small stream. The escape pod rested crookedly among fallen trees. Thin wisps of smoke curling from its scorched metal shell. Elliot Kane leaned against a tree trunk, his left shoulder hastily bandaged with a torn strip of his jacket. Dried blood crusting around the bullet wound. His round glasses were scratched, but his green eyes still shone, though weary. Beside him, Zyra lay on the grass. Her silver-gray armor now just scattered fragments glinting on her jade skin. Her red eyes, half open, gazed at the pale pink sky, her breathing steady but faint. Elliot bent down, checking on her. "You okay?" he asked, his voice rough with exhaustion. He rummaged in his backpack, tattered but still holding his invention notebook, and pulled out his last water bottle, offering it to her. "Drink. You look like you just fought the whole universe." Zyra's lips twitched, her familiar dry smile flickering. "I did, Elliot. And so did you." She took the bottle, sipped sparingly, then handed it back. "You saved me. Again." Elliot gave a weak laugh, nudging his glasses up. "I'm just good at breaking stuff. You're the one doing the epic things, energy shields, taking out squads. I just hit the right button at the right time." He met her gaze, his expression softening. "But I'm glad you're alive." Zyra sat up slowly, her hand brushing her chest where the Regenesis core once rested. "I'm glad you survived too. But the core. Kalia sent it away. I don't know where it is, or if I'll ever find it." Her voice dipped, tinged with loss. Elliot tilted his head, studying her. "Do you regret it? I mean, she sacrificed herself to save us. If she hadn't thrown it into that portal, Draven would have had it." Zyra fell silent, her red eyes drifting into the distance. "Kalia, she wanted to fix her past, like I once wanted to save Vianara. But she chose our future instead. I don't regret it. I just don't know what's next." She turned to him. "And you? What will you do, now that NextCorp's not breathing down our necks?" Elliot chuckled dryly, rubbing his sore shoulder. "I don't think they're done. Draven might have died in the crash, but NextCorp's a machine, it'll come back eventually." He paused, gazing at the tranquil forest around them. "But for the first time, I don't want to hide. I want to do something, with you, if you'll let me." Zyra raised an eyebrow, her red eyes glinting with curiosity. "What do you want, Summoner?" Elliot took a deep breath. Standing despite his shaky legs. "Find the core. Not to use it, but to keep it safe. If it can rebuild Vianara, you deserve that chance. And I want to help you rebuild, not because of the oath. But because I want to." Zyra stared at him, her red eyes softening, a rare flicker of genuine surprise crossing her face. "You don't have to, Elliot. The oath doesn't bind you after I've survived." "It's not about being forced," he said, his voice steadier than he expected. "I'm choosing. You pulled me out of that crummy apartment, gave me a reason to not just scrape by but actually live. I'm no fighter, but I'm good at building. Let me help you, okay?" Zyra rose, albeit slowly, and stepped toward him. She stood slightly taller, her jade skin shimmering in the early light. "You're a strange one, Elliot Kane," she said, a hint of warmth in her tone. "But I accept." She touched his hand, the oath no longer a fierce surge but a gentle, profound connection. Before they could say more, the faint whir of helicopters sounded, distant but growing clearer. Elliot frowned, glancing skyward. "Guess they won't let us rest long, huh?" Zyra smirked, her red eyes sparking with mischief. "Running with you isn't bad. But this time, I'll lead." She grabbed his hand, pulling him through the forest toward the glimmering stream in the distance. They trekked all day, evading the pursuit, until the sun sank, painting the woods in brilliant orange. Zyra guided Elliot to a small cave hidden behind a waterfall, a spot she'd sensed with her instincts. Inside, they found rare dryness and peace. Elliot sat, pulling out his notebook, scribbling ideas for a device to track energy like the cores. Zyra settled beside him, watching, her red eyes gentle. "Aren't you tired?" she asked, her voice soft. Elliot grinned, not looking up. "Exhausted. But for the first time, I feel like I've got a purpose." "You? Not worn out after all that?" Zyra tilted her head, gazing at the shimmering waterfall beyond the cave. "I am. But having you here, it makes it lighter." She paused, then added, "Thank you, Elliot." He stopped writing, looking up at her. "Thank you, Zyra. For picking me." That night, they slept in the cave. The sound of rushing water lulling them into dreams, not nightmares, but faint hopes of a new future. 3 years later, the forest was no longer a wilderness. A small community had sprouted among the trees, homes built from recycled metal and wood blending with nature. Its people weren't earthborn but jade-skinned beings, Vianara's descendants. Reborn from a fragment of the core Elliot and Zyra had found after months of wandering. It wasn't enough to restore a planet, but it seeded a fresh start on Earth, beyond Nextcorp's reach. Elliot, now 38, his brown hair still messy but neater, no longer wore glasses. He'd crafted a Vianaran tech replacement. He stood on a hill, overlooking the settlement, holding his latest invention. An upgraded energy scanner. His shoulder had healed, though the scar remained a reminder of their survival. Zyra approached, her silver armor swapped for a simple long tunic. Her jade skin and red eyes still striking. "Dreaming up something again?" she asked, a teasing lilt in her voice. Elliot smiled, pointing to the village. "Thinking about expanding. If we find another core shard, we could do more, not just for Vianara, but for anyone needing a home." Zyra nodded, her red eyes glowing with pride. "You're not just a summoner anymore, Elliot. You're a builder." She took his hand, the oath now a constant warm thread between them, no longer needing battle to prove itself. Children's laughter echoed from below, hybrids of Earth and Vianara. Symbols of the harmony they'd forged. Elliot glanced at Zyra, smirking. "Think we can pull it off? Build a new world?" Zyra tilted her head, a rare smile breaking through. "With you. I think we can do anything." In their minds, Kalia lingered, her fate unknown after that day, but her final gift of sending the core away had given them this chance. Elliot silently thanked her. Though she wasn't there to hear. Nextcorp's helicopters no longer droned overhead, the corporation had crumbled after the airship crash, Draven confirmed dead in the wreckage. But Elliot and Zyra knew peace wasn't forever. They stood hand in hand, gazing at the sky, ready for whatever lay ahead. "Ever regret it?" Zyra asked, her voice light as the breeze. Elliot shook his head, meeting her eyes. "No. Because I've got you." Zyra smiled, tugging him toward the village. "Then let's go home, builder." Under the sunset. The little settlement glowed like a beacon in the forest, a new home, not just for Vianara, but for 2 souls once lost.